Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments of people working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb, and today we have a guest. They are a stunt actor, a filmmaker, the creator of the Buffy Breakdown channel, Will Jones.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you very much for coming on today, Will.
It's a pleasure to be here and share some embarrassing stories with you, Seb.
Well, I cannot wait. So a little bit of a peek behind the curtain for the listeners. I approached Will, I'd say a few weeks ago probably now, and I asked him to come on because not only is Jill, oh, there we go, that was a good one. That's Will Jones combined there. Not only is Will an incredibly talented performer, but an incredibly kind person as well. He did ask me to say that before he came on, but shh. Yeah. But I thought you would have some fantastic stories, and I think that you're, I don't know, apprehensive to start with maybe, or just didn't have anything that came to mind straight away.
Yeah, it took a minute for the mind to sort of, recall the embarrassing stuff. There was one audition that came to mind straight away.
Oh, nice.
But also, like, some of my embarrassing stories that have happened on set, other people would be embarrassed by. I just found them hilarious. So I would.
See, that's nice. So it can be other people might get embarrassed by it, but what you find funny. I love those kind of stories as well, I'll be honest with you. You're like, not only do I not feel bad about it, it's just a fucking funny thing to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But you, after I asked you, I think maybe a week later, you told me one of the funniest goddamn things that happened whilst working with an animal. And I was like, how did this not come up instantly? Unless this is just par for the course with you. We will get into the story a little bit later on. I do want to hold off on it a little bit. But how about we start off with that audition story that came to mind straight away?
Well, that one was for a Bollywood film. I feel like there was a period of time where lots of Bollywood movies were coming to Melbourne.
There's still quite a few Indian Australian productions which cross over. I don't know why they film so much here. Maybe it's just easier. I don't know. Yeah.
I know that Chris Anderson, there's a coordinator who goes over to India to he used to go over and do films, and often when they would come here, he'd be the stunt coordinator on them.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Chris Anderson, an incredibly well-known stunt coordinator in Victoria,
who just won a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Congratulations to him. Yeah, MEAA just gave him the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is massive.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Chris, I'm sure you're not listening, but congratulations. But yeah, sorry, we auditioned for it. Do you want to say the name of the film, or are we not going to mention it?
I can't remember the name of the film.
That's very smart.
So, and my audition was horrific. So I was
awesome. Now, you're a stunt performer, I'd say, first and foremost.
Yes.
Did they ask you to do any acting with that as well?
It was an acting audition.
Oh, just acting?
It was. Oh. And it was one of those auditions where they didn't really ask you to prepare anything. They just sort of brought you into the room. Oh. And so my stunt coach at the time, he was, and a good friend of mine, Robert Shook, who I trained with him from when I was 17.
Yeah.
And we had a saying, Robert is always right, because Robert would give me some advice, I would disregard it, and then come back to him, weeks or months later and just say, oh, Robert, you were right, I was wrong. So
Sounds like a very 17-year-old thing to do as well, to be honest with you.
Very much so, but so that was one of those occasions where Rob said to me, he's like, okay, they haven't asked you to do anything. Do you know what you should do in the audition, Will? You know the scene from Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood, the Do You Feel Lucky Punk?
The only scene everybody knows from that film?
Exactly. Rob said, you should do that. They'll love it. They'll think it's fantastic.
Wow. When was this audition as well? I mean, not that Dirty Harry's particularly a recent film, regardless of, I'm sure, when this audition was, but was it more recent or was it a few years back?
I think it was early. It would have been between 2012 to 2014.
Okay, so Dirty Harry's very much in the past as well then, yeah.
Very much so, and the guy auditioning just sort of, he's like, do you have anything? It's like, yeah, I've got this great thing. It's going to be amazing. Walking in thinking I'm just going to ace the audition with this.
I mean, you're Dirty Harry. Of course. Who wouldn't want to hire Dirty Harry?
Oh, and it was just... I did it.
Yep,
I did
yep.
the whole thing. I can't remember any of it now.
You don't want to give us the entire monologue just now on mic?
It is like a long thing, but
It is,
all I
isn't it?
remember is the "Do you feel lucky, punk?"
Yeah.
That's all I've got for you today. But I did it, and the look on his face. This was a guy casting for a Bollywood film where, you know, the caliber of the acting is
Yep.
not the highest that you'll ever see.
No, they're quite heightened, I'd say, in Bollywood films. Yeah.
And he just looked at me. He wasn't even looking through the camera. He was looking directly at me after I finished. And the look on his face was just like, what? That was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And so suffice to say, I did not get a call back from that audition.
No way.
But a friend of mine who also auditioned for it, his approach in the audition was he basically turned it back on them. So he
Right.
just he came in and they're like, "What have you prepared for us?" And he was like, "I'm a stuntman. I haven't prepared anything.
Yeah.
You know, you tell me what you want me to do. This is not on me. This is on you."
I like the sound of this person, I'm going to be honest with you, because, like, any audition, and for anyone that's listening that's maybe newer to this or doesn't quite understand auditioning, I'm not just going to turn up and be like, all right, yeah, cool, I'll just make up something on the spot, or like, just tell me what this is. Just give me parameters, please. Like, that's crazy they didn't tell you anything to prepare.
Well, yeah, my friend who just turned it back on them, I can't even remember what he did for the audition, but he got it. So,
oh, wow.
Just by,
It's just like a test. They're like, oh, this guy, he's got the balls. He can tell us what to do.
yeah. So there was no stunt component to it, but
Really?
yeah,
Just-
that was,
Oh.
yeah. And I went back to Robert and I recounted the story to him and I was like, well, Rob, this is, you know, the one time that you weren't right.
The exception that makes the rule.
Yeah, but my performance of it was truly horrific. I wish
You were saying that they weren't looking through the camera, so I presume this was recorded.
it was recorded. So
I
there's
wonder sometimes where those auditions are. I've done so many like if I ever watched them again, I think that I would literally like break down and cry if I rewatched any of the auditions I'd done. But I do wonder where they, like, if they've kept them, if they've stored them anywhere.
there has to be someone who catalogs them and just like keeps them for times when people just need to.
I had a previous guest on once, and he said that he worked for community television for a little while, and they have this like holy grail of a tape which has all of the most insane, bizarre stuff that's been sent into them. There must be stuff like that for auditions around somewhere.
I reckon.
Yeah. If you are one of those people that has something like that, please send it to me. For the love of God, I would love to see that. Unless it includes myself or Will. But if it's anyone else, I'd fucking love to see that. But yeah, isn't it nice that you never have to like worry about seeing them again as well? They're probably lost to the ages, deleted off someone's hard drive.
We pray that is the case.
I know, right?
Yeah, and the difference is now you're doing self-tapes most of the time, so
you have your own accounts of what you've done saved on your computer.
Yeah, and you can delete the embarrassing stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know about yourself. So what used to happen predominantly was people would go into a room and you'd go into a space and they'd be casting director, whoever they are, and they'd record the tape themselves. But now, mostly because of COVID, I would say probably, you can record things at home by yourself. All you really need is like a plain background and a bit of decent lighting. You can just do it off your phone. And then you can, I don't know about yourself, Will, do 30 different takes, hate every single one of them, have a small breakdown and just be like, I'll send this one in, I don't know anymore. Yeah, but at least you can get rid of the less good takes.
Exactly. I also think it's helpful in that case if you have a friend with you.
Yeah.
And my friend Emma, I go over to her place if I have, it's usually, I have a self-tape, can you help me? And she's like, yes, I have 4 self-tapes, can you help me? It's like, yeah, sure. But when you have a friend on the other side of the camera, they can elicit a bit more of a performance from you than often what you
can get by yourself. Yeah,
exactly.
Especially just an outside of eyes and from like a friend or even a mentor or a coach who's honest with you as well. Because some people will be like, yeah, it was great, and then you're like, you rewatch it and I was like, did you lie to me? This is clearly bad. So it's like, if someone, not just being mean to you, but if someone's giving you honest feedback of being like, I don't think we should use that take.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
It's very welcome, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Saved a lot of bad auditions with those kind of people.
Yeah, because also you've had way more audition experience than I have, but yeah, you don't often get feedback.
No, never.
When
God, you hardly even hear back a lot of the time whether you got it or not. There's that classic thing where people are like, yeah, I put in this audition, forgot about it. 6 months later, they called me up and I was on the next Star Wars. That happens 1 in a million. Most of the time, you put in an audition, never hear back from anyone ever again. Not even a thank you, we've got it. Just nothing. It's just gone forever.
I also have a rule where I never ask anyone, how was your audition?
Yeah.
It's just, I never...
How is any audition, honestly?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just, if you're doing it in the room, you turn up and you try to put your best foot forward. You never want to seem desperate, but you don't want to seem like you don't give a shit. And then you try and do your best take. Then you try and take on the feedback that they give you and do a better take, hopefully. And then you leave and you stand out in the waiting room for a split second and you'll be like... And then you're driving home, going over the audition again and again in your head, being like, I should have done it this way. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just gone from your brain forever. So yeah, I don't know if that's the same with you, but that's what happens with me for every single audition.
Well, yeah, this I think fortunately for me, this Bollywood is the only one that really sticks.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, because often for your stunt auditions, it's physical.
Yeah, of course.
But those times when they do come in to ask you to read lines or stuff, that's when...
Yeah. So did you get a lot of them as a stunt actor then as well?
Yes, actually. And everything these days is with an American accent.
Of course it is.
And but yeah, I still procrastinate and I hate doing them.
Yeah.
And I always remind myself that, remember those 2 great things you got them from self-tape. So
yeah, exactly, right. I mean,
shut up and go do your self-tape.
I think that's a great piece of advice as well. Shut up and just do it.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I'll procrastinate and I'll be like, oh, I have to do this fucking audition that I got sent. Oh, and I'm like, I'm getting to audition for this sort of stuff and then occasionally work on this sort of stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
look, it sucks and it's par for the course and I'll complain to friends about it. But at the end of the day, it's like, it'd be a lot worse if I wasn't getting any auditions at all.
Yeah, that's true.
And God forbid getting no work at all as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Anyway, that's nice and depressing. How about we move on to some more fun stuff? So Will sent me through a few nice little headlines or titles of his stories as well, which I don't know, was it inspired by Holly's episode previously? Or
yeah, it just was a good way to just sort of cue things. But yeah, Holly's episode was fantastic.
Oh, it was. Holly was fantastic guest. Now, we don't have anything quite as salacious as Holly, I'd say.
I don't think you can top Hot Fart.
No. I mean, honestly, I was like blown away, first of all, when she said any of those titles. And then the stories to actually back them up were fantastic as well. Yeah, but Will has sent me in a few titles as well. I'm going to save my favourite one for the end, if that's quite all right with you.
Certainly.
But why don't we drop a little bit of a name here? So we've got a certain vampire project, which may have featured some lichens as well. And Kate Beckinsale, that's right.
So the Underworld reference is because there was a big Hollywood film that came to Melbourne, and I'm tempted to just use the name of it. It was called I, Frankenstein.
Yeah, they're pretty well known. Shot here in Melbourne. We're both in Melbourne just now. A lot of people worked on that one. Yeah.
Yes, they did. And I was there. I was on set one day. We were at the Dockland Studios, and I was just there to be. They had demons and they had gargoyles, and myself and another stunty friend of mine, we were there as gargoyles in human form. So
that's nice. Not lots of makeup on you then. Yeah.
Fortunately, it was just the one fun part of that outfit was we had corsets.
Oh, like really?
a belt that was essentially a corset going around.
A cinch. I used to wear one of them for work.
Oh, really?
Yes, when I worked as a vampire at I've mentioned this restaurant way too many times. I'm not saying the name. I've previously mentioned Vampire Cabaret restaurant in Melbourne. We were not saying the name again, but yes, they're called a cinch when it's just around the waist.
Well, I remember being on set and I was like, I'm just going to go 10-1. Yep. That's your code on set to go to the bathroom.
To the toilet, yeah.
That's right. And I went and I'm standing there at the urinal and I'm just nothing was happening, and I
Yeah.
started freaking out. I was like, what's happened to me? Why can't I piss?
Yeah.
And I thought, hang on a sec, just go to costume, and I asked them can you release me from the corset?
Release me from this hell.
Yeah, and that actually was I could not urinate.
Oh my God.
When I was wearing that, I had to have it taken off every time I wanted to go 10-1.
That sounds like a health hazard. I'm going to be. Are you okay now? Is everything still functioning? That's
Well, there were
hectic.
other gargoyles, which I was asking them the same thing. They're like, "Can you pee?" I was like, "I can't pee and I can't fart." So that was we were just like cinched in.
Oh my God.
So that was a lesson I learned. Fortunately, So if I ever have to work in a corset again, I'll know if I need to pee, if I need to go 10-1, just to get relief from your corset.
Well, at least you know nothing's going to slip out, at least. No cheeky farts as you're doing a little fight scene, which I'll be honest, and we will get back to this story. I've been training for maybe 2 years. I'm nowhere near as experienced as most of the professionals, or like Will himself as well. A lot of farts slip out in fight scenes, I have to say.
It does happen.
It does, yeah. The occasional, whenever you go for a gut punch on someone, they'll tense, and then every now and again, it's just a little, and you're like, we just keep going, I suppose.
That's right. Always, the show must go on.
So wear a corset or a cinch if you ever want to keep everything contained.
Yeah, that's the tip that people can take home from the show today.
That's the only thing that you should be learning from this episode. Right. But yeah, sorry. So we were gargoyles in human form.
And the scene that they were doing was they had Jai Courtney.
Yeah.
He was also a gargoyle, and he had to, fight. I reckon there were 50 demons.
Wow, yeah.
So that's, basically almost the entire Melbourne stunt community were there that day.
Is there even 50?
I think I looked on Stuntbook. I think we've got 85.
Oh, okay.
I used to think there was over 100 or more, and then I looked at it on Stuntbook, and there's 85.
Yeah.
We might need to fact check that later on. But
okay, I'm not going to do that, so we're just going to take that as possible.
It's 85.
85.
So what happened? So one of my sort of favorite gags that I always wanted to do was, I love the Underworld movies, and the sort of famous bit from that, particularly in the first one, is she's up on this
rain-soaked rooftop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then she jumps off the building, and she's going down, and she lands perfectly, and then just walks away from it.
Of course, yeah. The big leather jacket fluttering in the wind.
That's right.
Going down, classic.
Yeah. So when they do that, you're on a decelerator.
Yep. Do you want to explain what a decelerator is for the less experienced listener?
I will attempt to do that. The one that we did them in training one day, and we did it on an air ram. So basically, there was a tower with truss going overhead.
So truss is just like a big metal component, which is essentially what you can hang wire work off of.
Yep. So you can do your rigging off it, whether it's with stunts or whatever else you need. And then you drop at a normal speed. Yep. And then the ram will stop you before you hit the ground and turn into a puddle. So decelerate is,
you're free falling, but then something's slowing you down as you get towards the ground, essentially. Yeah,
that's correct. Which is how you can, make it look like you've just jumped off.
How you don't splat. Essentially,
exactly. Yeah, that's the correct terminology.
Yes.
And we'd done it in stunt training, and I had the best time ever. I wore like an open shirt because I was like, I've got to do my Kate Beckinsale moment, jumping down. So I was on set that day, and there were two stunt coordinators on the set of this film, and one of them was the American stunt coordinator who he did several of the Underworld films.
Oh wow! Oh, I didn't realize that. Cool.
So yeah, I was on set with the coordinator from Underworld, in addition to the Australian coordinator, and the scene was very basically Jai was jumping out of some CGI tower, and he was going to land, and then after being dropped 30 feet, and then start fighting the gargoyles. And they needed a double for him that day, which they didn't have. And then they looked at me from the back and they decided, you know what, will do. This is going to be such a wide shot. Chuck him in a harness and hoist him up and away we go.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, okay, this is just, I was freaking out because I was
Not
just
surprised, to be honest with you. Yeah.
yeah, normally a wire gag like that, you'd get a rehearsal for it beforehand. I at least sort of knew that, hey, you've done these in training. Just, do the best that you can.
Of course.
So, put in my harness, yanked up, and they sort of basically we built it up. So originally there was like a bit of matting, a bit of jigsaw matting.
It's for you to land on as you're coming off of the decel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to sort of ease me into it.
Yep.
And then that was taken away and I was basically just landing on the concrete studio floor.
Oh.
So when we did these in training, we still had like a 6-inch crash mat underneath us
Something
to
nice
land.
and cushiony to stop your feet from shattering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you've taken the words right out of my mouth. Honestly, that's what my feet felt like.
Oh my God.
So I'm yanked up 30 feet above.
30 feet as well.
Yep.
It's high. I know
Above the
it doesn't sound high. Like when you watch stuff like that on camera, it's hard to get a scope of height. That's why a lot of people are like, oh, actors look so much smaller in real life because you can't tell how high something is on camera.
Yeah.
But 30 feet is a long way up.
30 feet, 10 meters.
Yeah.
And I am, hanging in these wires while literally all of my peers are looking at me.
Yeah.
So they're all watching me. And in the scene, as I land, I then had to just take a couple of steps and swing my axe to kill someone. And then that would be what they would edit with. Oh my God. So the embarrassing part was just, I think there was 2 takes where I came down, hit the end of my wires and had to sell the landing and my feet just felt like they were shattering inside of my shoes.
Oh my God.
So I basically collapsed. And it was just one of those moments where you just kind of had to, the pep talk was, I know this is horrifically embarrassing to be, stuffing up this gag in front of all of your peers.
All of your peers, plus an American film set and the American coordinator as well. There's so many people on a film set as well, all watching you. And people that don't work in front of the camera, like behind the camera, they're just like, yeah, let's just get the take and move on. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're not always necessarily on your side. Not to say that they're like against you or anything like that, but people are like, come on, this is your job. Just jump off this building and be fine.
Also, I find when you're doing a big stunt, it's like a space shuttle launch.
Yeah.
But you're the thing that's being launched.
You're the space shuttle.
So everyone else is clearing away.
Yeah.
Getting, to a safe distance away.
Yeah.
And you're the thing that's,
you're so
left
isolated, 30 foot up in the sky.
And it was so last minute. I didn't even see the system that I was on. I didn't know, am I on a ratchet right now?
Yeah.
Like what am I on? But it was just one of those moments where you were just chucked in the deep end and you had to, and
terrifying.
yeah, but also I think a lot of the times my lesson for that was the next time there's a training day for AirAMs, I would just know to say, okay, now without the crash mats,
we won't used to the feeling.
We won't get crash mats on the day. We're going to have the worst shoes imaginable.
Oh,
stunt
they're
people,
never good.
Nah. And no matter how much you try and get the best shoes, what you need to do, they're just always going to be crap.
Yeah, they are. Costumes, just like, we just need to dress these people. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Their feet aren't going to be seen. Just give them Kmart flops. It's fine. You're like, oh, can I get something with a little bit of padding in it, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny as well because a lot of people that train or like want to be stunt performers and stuff are doing these big fancy falls onto like 6-inch 1-foot crash pads. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. And then if you don't practice just smashing into concrete every now and again, you're like, oh, I'm doing this for the first time on camera and I've just winded myself and I don't know if I can do this again and everyone's watching me and it's there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, completely.
But even now, I reckon if they give you a little mat to put down and just CG it out, right?
A lot of the times they do that now.
Yeah.
But I still think, for stunt people, you're expected to just be tough.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone in stunts is so tough, and like they can just break a foot and walk it off, and they'll be back at set the next day.
Yeah. And then, there are people who are like that. I often find the moments where I've made, my strongest stunty friends is when they're in a similar situation and they've actually confided in me, like, oh God, I was so terrified when I did that. And, sometimes, you're on a wire and you're going to do a jerk back onto just concrete.
Yeah.
And there's a voice in your head that will just say, you're an idiot. Why are you doing this job? Why did you put me here? I hate you.
It's so funny because everything that you want to naturally do, like curl up in a ball or try and put your hands and your feet down, you have to go against all that. A jerk back as well is essentially where you're like pinned from your back. You've got some sort of vest on and you're just getting pulled backwards really fast. So it's always like your classic, like a superpowered punch is what sends people back, or you get hit with like a Hadouken or something like that.
And explosions.
That's another classic, but like before selling that, you don't want to stick your feet down first. You don't want to put your arms out straight to try and protect yourself. It's all like you're going against your natural survival instinct with a lot of it as well.
Yeah, completely. And often, there's been times where if you get it wrong and your head's not in the right position when you land, you're just going to knock yourself out. And I remember once doing a jerk back like that underneath the Royal Melbourne Hospital. We were in the basement and I just sort of thought, well, if you get knocked out, at least they just put you in the elevator and you can go straight up to emergency.
You're not getting helicoptered out of the Yuyangs or something like that.
Exactly.
You're literally one trolley ride away from a very good ICU.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, that moment would have been like, to do that gag was a dream come true. I'd always wanted to do it. I just having not had a rehearsal for it.
Of course, yeah.
I did not know that, oh my God, this is going to be the most painful thing ever and I just have to do it.
And again, captured on camera as well.
Yeah, it's in the movie. I've actually clipped it and it's in my showreel.
Oh, that's so cool.
You don't see the landing though. So
really? Is it in the, I know like it was the classic thing back in, is it 2011, 2012, I, Frankenstein?
I think it's around that time.
That was peak like DVD featured extras of the bloopers. See you crumpling the extras at all day. Did you check the bloopers?
I watched that movie once in cinema and that was as much as I could tolerate.
That was enough. So. I watched it on a plane and I think that was the appropriate place to watch that film.
Yeah.
Sorry, I, Frankenstein.
Yes, you are great.
Yeah, no, we love you. We do love you. Anyway, swiftly moving on. But you did tell me another story as well maybe a couple of weeks ago now, of flattening a sign from would it be La Brea? Are we allowed to mention that name?
We can.
Yes, cool. Beautiful.
It was La Brea.
So we've got a sign and then we've flattened someone else after that or something else.
Oh, that's right. We've got a couple of flattening stories.
So do you want to tell us the first? We'll work our way up the size of the objects that get flattened. So we'll start off with a nice little sign, if you like.
So when La Brea is a story about there's a sinkhole that opens up in the middle of Los Angeles and the people that fall in go back in time to 10,000 BC.
Yeah.
And we were shooting, it was the first episode of the series, and this is when the first sinkhole happens in LA. We're shooting just down in Port Melbourne.
Yeah, so the entire, I don't know if people know this, the entire TV show is actually shot in Melbourne.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of Melbourne landmarks, which are decidedly not LA, but yeah.
So we were shooting, so the first week of the shoot was everyone running away from a CGI sinkhole.
Oh, so nothing on set.
Nothing on set at all.
Imaginary holes appearing everywhere.
Yeah. And for a stunt day, we were just sort of, you were driving cars and then you'd stop and then you'd get out and look at the sinkhole and then you'd run away.
Yeah.
And my friend Kate and I were put in a car. I was put in by the coordinators like, Will, you're driving. And I ran in, jumped in the car. I couldn't fit in it. And Kate is just looking at me, just trying to do my contortion. And we were just like, this isn't happening. I just looked at Kate and was like, Kate, you're driving.
What the hell car was this? So for anyone that hasn't met Will in real life, 6'2", are you?
6'4".
6'4", far out, yeah.
Yeah.
So they gave you a comically small car?
It was a tiny little white Toyota.
Oh, was it?
And no matter how much I tried to move the seat, it wasn't happening.
No.
And I just was like, Kate, you're driving.
Yeah.
So we
decidedly smaller.
yes, we did a quick switcheroo, and we had to basically just drive, through the intersection.
Yep.
Jump out of, make the car safe, turn around, look at the sinkhole, and then, run away in terror. So we did a couple of takes, and on one of them, I think we finished in a slightly different position to what we had in the previous takes.
Yeah.
So I'm getting out of the car. I love doing my running in terror acting. So I'm turning around to look at the sinkhole, acting. And then while still looking, I start running, but I'm not looking in the direction I'm going.
Always a dangerous game.
So all of a sudden, I run straight into a road sign. It's a keep left sign, those ones that sit in the middle of like the median strips.
Yeah.
And it was the loudest noise ever. It was just like someone just hit this massive dong.
They're just metal as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the biggest noise, like dong, and the crew was shooting on the other side of the intersection.
So a good few feet away from you as well.
Oh,
eh?
they would have been about 100 meters away.
100 meters away, yeah.
Oh wait, my meters are not good. 50 meters,
Yeah,
I think.
100 meters is very far.
That's very far.
Yeah.
And I heard people going, oh.
When the crew react like that, because crew should never make a noise during a take.
No, they
So when it's a visceral reaction like that, you know that either something horribly bad's gone on or something, maybe in this case, hilarious has happened.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've doubled over the sign. Luckily, like I had my knee pads on, and
nice.
I hit the side of the sign.
Yep.
So the big metal pole, if I ran into that, I would not have been laughing. I would have been just like limping away.
Oh.
But because of where my knees impacted, I bent the sign in half.
If you were looking at it, you couldn't have chosen a better spot to hit it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so
I was
very lucky.
very fortunate. But I had to, there were cameras facing towards us, I think, at that point. So I just, as I always do, if I am laughing during a take, I just kept my head down.
Oh, of course, just face away from camera.
And I giggled my way all the way out of shot. And I just remembered just looking. I wanted to catch someone's eye to be like, did someone see that? Did someone see that? And Kate was just in stitches. She was laughing her butt off because she saw the whole thing.
That'd be so good. Not only like if you did it, which is obviously hilarious for yourself, I would love to watch someone else just full pelt into a road sign. Did you watch the first episode then? Did that make the cut?
I did, and unfortunately it did not.
Any editors listening, if stuff like that happens, leave it in. It's so much more realistic, and it's hilarious. So, I mean, it would have obviously been on camera as well, hey?
It was, and I had some crew members come over and they checked if I was okay, but I was fortunately just completely fine. The stunties came over and I was, pointing it out like, that's what I did that. Look what I did.
Point of pride. And you were saying on your drive here today, you drove past it and it's still bent in half.
Still bent. So
City of Melbourne, if you want to bill Will for that, we can give you details at the end of the show. I really hope, or like if stuff like that happens, I really hope that somebody's just like, I was recording the monitor. Here's a little video of it for you. That'd be the dream. But unfortunately, sometimes that stuff's just lost forever.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, I'm not going to email NBC and be like, hey, NBC, I worked on this show 2 years ago. Can I get this clip, which you certainly don't have, or will definitely not reply to this email?
Oh,
yeah.
I wish it was buried in a blooper reel somewhere.
I know, right? But they rarely put that stuff in blooper reels. It's most of the time just actors messing up lines and stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Crippling themselves. Okay, so that's two leg-based mishaps that we've had.
Yeah.
So we've flattened one sign now. And you were saying you maybe flattened something else as well?
I flattened an extra one day.
Okay. We've moved up in the world.
Yeah.
Inanimate objects to moving objects.
That's right. We're moving up in the world, Sam.
Yeah.
We were shooting a kids' TV show called Fahrenheit 365.
Oh.
cannot
That's
recall.
not a catchy kids show title as well.
No, and maybe I'm making something up. It was Conspiracy 365.
Okay.
So that was what the show was about. A kid who was trying to solve a conspiracy.
Oh, okay.
I think the 365 was he had a year to do it.
That makes sense. Okay.
So we, another stunty and I were playing police officers.
Yep.
We were in Southern Cross train station.
Oh, yep. A nice
And-
busy Melbourne train station. Yep.
Very busy.
I'm sure it was definitely closed down and the public weren't there at all as well.
So that day, we were dressed as cops, myself and another stunty, and the beginning of us was we spot this kid on an escalator and
Yeah.
we start chasing him. Often, all of the shots we did that day were all these big, wide shots.
Yeah,
So
okay.
often, myself and the other stunty, we were up. One of the other shots we did was we were at the very top of the station.
Oh, yep.
And you had to go down 2 escalators before
Yeah,
you would see
right.
the crew and realize that we were actually making a TV show.
Yeah, right. So you're just essentially, for anyone passing by, a policeman standing at the top of some stairs.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we had 2 incidents that day. We were waiting for them to, call action for us to start chasing the actor down the escalator. And there was a construction site behind us. They were building what would become a news agency.
Oh, okay.
And all of a sudden, we hear this huge ruckus from inside the construction site. We hear a woman screaming.
Oh, wow.
There's something big happening. Anyway, so a few seconds later, this woman comes running out of the construction site, still screaming.
Yep.
A few beats after her, bald man comes out holding his forehead, and there was just blood pissing out of his
Holy
forehead.
shit.
So something really bad went down
Yeah.
inside the construction site, and myself and the other stunty are just standing there, like jaws wide open,
Yeah.
just going, what? We were just like shocked, like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
And I then realized people were looking at us as in like, why are these 2 cops just standing there, their
These
mouth
2
gaping like idiots?
Shell-shocked cops just not knowing what to do.
And I had a woman come up to me from the general public.
Yeah.
She grabbed me and started shaking me. He's like, why aren't you doing anything?
Yeah.
And I just reached down to my gun holster and I pulled out my little cut in half fake
Rubber gun, yep.
And I just said to her, I'm not real. I'm not a real cop. So we just, that was...
First of all, how terrified that woman would have been if she was shaking a police officer and he went to reach for his gun. Before you pulled it out and showed it was a half rubber gun as well, just be like, oh my God, this guy's reaching for his gun now.
I'll waste him. You wait here. No, fortunately, she didn't freak out, but
Oh, okay.
I can't even remember the rest of that interaction. It was just, we were just
That's not
stunned.
even the story as well. Like,
Yeah.
the part of the story that I was talking about. That's hectic.
Well, we had to run down the escalators, run a couple of 100 meters down through the train station at one point. So we were running, screaming, stop, police.
Yep.
I love when you get to do stuff
Yeah,
like
right.
that. You throw in a freeze.
Freeze,
Whatever you want.
scumbag.
That's right. And at one point, we reach the bottom of the escalators, and the kid is supposed to be running. When I get there,
Yep.
someone has grabbed the actor, and
Oh.
I got to the bottom of the escalator, and
Yep.
this person throws the kid into my arms,
Oh, okay.
and I was yet again just. My jaw was open. I was like, has someone changed the scene on us? They're not told
that kind of
us.
stuff as well. You never know if it's part of the scene because there's so many moving parts on a film set.
Yeah.
You don't know whether something's changed. Like, I'm dressed as a cop. I know I'm an actor. I don't know who else is an actor here. Everything's so far away. Like, I'm just waiting to hear action and cut and do my movements.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're often,
Was this person part of the scene?
This person was a plainclothes police officer. They were an undercover cop, and they just thought that it was because obviously the cameras yet again were high up this escalator. So if you can't tell that we're making a TV show.
Yeah, right.
And we were just riding the escalator up, just all shocked. And I just sort of saw the stunt coordinator and the crew, they're just laughing their butts off at what has just happened. And the next part of that scene was when we reached the top of the escalators.
Yep.
We had to jump over the turnstiles.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was impressed because on one of the takes I had enough speed where I just leaped over it. And I was like, I can just...
Oh, I didn't even touch it. Just fully like...
I can hurdle this.
Yeah,
and
wow.
sadly, I didn't get. We had extras sort of put into the scene after that, so
Yep.
I couldn't hurdle
Couldn't
again.
hurdle an extra? Oh,
No, unfortunately, that's frowned upon.
isn't it? I was thinking that'd be great.
Oh, well, you'll like the next part of the story. So we had to finally catch the kid.
Yep.
So he gets up to another bridge part of the train station, and he just sort of stops. He can't get away, so we catch him.
Yeah.
So the actor runs past. He runs through a few extras.
Yep.
And extras often like to give very large and dramatic performances.
So we've spoke about extras on this show a few times before, and I just want to say I've been an extra as well. I understand, like, there's some great people that are extras, and there's some of the strangest human beings you will ever meet in your life that are extras.
Exactly.
And I presume this was the latter.
This was... I can't... That's exactly what you get with extras sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just amazing people. Other times
a lot of people just want to learn acting and how to work on film and TV and stuff like that, because like there's so many different things that happen on a TV set. So if you're just an extra, nobody cares about you essentially, so you can just like watch everyone and you get an idea of what's happening. And then sometimes there's people that think they're the next Marilyn Monroe and like stare directly down the camera and be like, this show's all about me. And you're like, okay buddy, I'm just gonna go stand somewhere else now. And they try and deliver these very dramatic big performances because they want to be on camera. They want to be in the show. Yeah, that's the one person that got discovered as an extra that it ruined it for everyone else, because now every extra's trying to get discovered on that one day. Yeah.
Well, this guy, I sadly don't think he was discovered. Because
discovered for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, this poor guy. So the actor runs past him.
Yep.
And I'm hot on his heels. This is the moment where, we catch him.
Yeah.
And as he goes past this one extra, the extra he turns out, pivots on his foot and does this massive, like, huge reaction. Just like, whoa, trying to,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he stepped right into my direction of travel, and I was running full tilt.
Yeah,
I was not.
And presumably this happened in a split second as well.
It did.
Yeah, cool.
So unfortunately, this extra sort of did his big performance, was still looking at the actor go past.
Oh, didn't even see you coming.
Didn't see me coming, and I just went straight into him and just flattened him.
Oh.
And that was
the end of that extra's career.
Yes, unfortunately, he was taken off set. By the nurse. He had a few. He had a few scrapes and a few bruises, but he wasn't completely broken. But I think that was the end of the day.
Yeah, fair enough.
I felt horrible because
it's funny as well, because obviously you're a good person, so that's how you would feel, but did nothing wrong as well, so that's like the thing. So not like you messed up a punch and accidentally clipped someone, it's just someone stepped in front of you. And I was feeling very embarrassed, and the stunt coordinator, he came up to me and he just sort of said to me, I saw the whole thing. You couldn't have done anything. So you just he made me feel a little bit better about having accidentally just wiped out an extra. Yeah, right. They're like, it's fine, we got a few more of them in holding, we'll just bring another one. You're okay though, right? Yeah. No, but it's especially as soon as that sort of stuff happens as well.
Yeah.
It might only be a few minutes until you're given like the confirmation that it wasn't your fault and stuff like that, but that's a long few minutes. You're just like, oh God, have I just fucked up everything? Everyone watched that, it's on film. Yeah. I presume that never made the final cut of that TV show as well?
No. Actually, did I? No, it didn't.
No,
I have watched that, I think, once since it came out. So yeah, that was left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. There's so much gold that we can all like. I mean, I'm sure nobody's going to be able to find it, but hey, if anyone's listening that has access to any of that stuff, send it on in. I'd love to see all this flattening, breaking.
Love our
feet.
memories.
I know, the most fun parts as well. Otherwise, sometimes you're just like a blur that's running by as well, and you don't get. I mean, obviously the show's not about you in that moment, but you're like, I want more of me on camera. So if there's a bit of me flattening someone, that'd be lovely. Thank you.
I often find I don't, and when I'm with other performers and I see them getting nervous, before they're doing a show, because you want to do great, you want it to be perfect.
Of course, yeah.
I find after having worked for as long as I have, the only things I remember are the things that went wrong.
Yeah, right.
And that you can laugh about.
I know, it's such a funny thing as well, because like you want to give the best performance and stuff like that, and obviously you want to be proud of what you put out at the end of the day as well, however it comes out in its final, like, finished form. But you have so little to do with how it looks at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You do your performance, sometimes it's fantastic and an editor does everything perfect and the camera people are on point and they've captured exactly what you need. Sometimes things are just butchered, or sometimes I did an episode of Offspring as a bit part role, and it was my first bit part role for telling. I was like, oh, I'm going to tell everyone I'm on this, and I told everyone. I was so excited. I just got cut out of it. Really, like the back of my head was maybe in one shot, and everyone was like, oh, was it last night you were meant to be on? And you're like, yeah, it was that episode. My name was in the credits. Did you see my name? So like you have so little control of what actually comes out. But yeah, like the times you're enjoying yourself on set or actually having fun. I mean, like obviously still doing your job and stuff as well, but like they're the good times, aren't
Those are the stories that stick with you.
Yeah.
I've had that exact thing happen as well, where you just,
Isn't it a great feeling?
That's
You
right.
put so much time and effort into all of that. And it's like, yes, it's my big break. And then you're like, well, I got paid at least.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, there's my name in the credits. So yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
There I am.
Yeah. It's like I've proven a point. I had this. It's going to be me complaining about things I've been cut out of again as well.
I love it.
I did a tiny little bit part on the Olivia Newton-John story as well, that biopic, however you're meant to say
I
that.
remember that one.
We shot for shot remade Let's Get Physical music video.
I love it.
Yeah, and I was one of the guys in that. So, like, do you know the music video?
I can recall it.
So for anyone that hasn't seen it, there's some larger guys in it, and there's some more in shape guys in it, and Olivia Newton-John's like walking between them, and it's in this like black tiled kind of workout space. So like they're on the iPad all day. They were like, yep, this is the shot we need to do to recreate the shot and stuff like that. And I was like, oh fuck yeah. It was Delta Goodrem was Olivia Newton-John. Yeah, so I was like, oh cool, this is it. And then I was like, I'm not going to tell anyone until this comes out because I might not be in it. But then Delta Goodrem put up a video of I was in the video of her recording the monitors for a performance bit that she did in it, and I was like, I'm in this. She's posted it. That's my face. I'm in this. So I told everyone about it again, and then like at the end of it, I think that maybe one like arm and my butt was in it. I genuinely think my butt was featured more than my face. Just like I wore little white Speedos, and I was like, I mean, that's me. I still got paid for it. Still got the credit, but oh well.
Oh, it would have been nice to have a bit more than just a butt.
I know. Nobody can recognize me from my butt. God damn it. Probably peaked that there shouting about my butt. But yeah, anyway. Oh, so there you go. There's some more embarrassing stuff from me there. I'm going to run out of stories one day about embarrassing stuff I've done, but not yet. That was the same shoot that I've spoken about this in the previous, or maybe the first episode of this podcast where I had to wear a little flesh-colored G-string, which was recycled. So they washed it, and oh God, I hope they didn't use that again. But yeah, there you go.
Can you just imagine? Yeah. I was gifted we had to wear G-strings on set one day for 17 hours.
Wow, and that's too long.
This actually on iFrank. It was the last day of shooting, and
what scene was that?
they were just doing the most random stuff. So the start of the day, we had our faces melted by fire.
Oh, okay.
And then they took all that off, and then the other half we were these like frosted monsters.
Oh.
So we'd been, frozen, and we were covered in the makeup that was actually made out of like sugar. It was delicious. If you tasted it, you're like, oh damn, this is gonna
quite a bit of special effects makeup. Blood's always super sweet, like fake blood. It's always like glucose syrup or something. So you taste it, you're like, this isn't too bad. Horrible to wear. It's super sticky, but yeah,
exactly. But we were told we had to wear these skin tight suits. They said on the fitting day, just bring in your underwear.
Yep.
And then when we got there, you had in your wardrobe, you had your skin tight suit, and we all had G-strings.
Oh, how fun.
So I think the wardrobe department just thought, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we make all the stunters wear G-strings today? Because there was
towards the end of the shooting, like they've been a fucking nightmare the entire time. Let's make them as uncomfortable as possible. These goddamn stunties. We're going to make sure that they're all wearing the most uncomfortable underwear. I've also made it a size too small for everyone as well. So
God, it was.
How dare you, Frankenstein costuming? How dare you?
That's right.
But that's nice you got gifted it. Every time I've had to wear one on set, I've been asked to bring my own, which is fine. I've got like 3 or 4 of them now, because after the Olivia Newton-John biopic, I don't want to say fiasco, but asking to give it back so they can wash it and use it again.
Oh,
I know. I went out and bought a few, but I did a sports bet ad maybe 3 years ago now, where we had to wear entire one-piece Lycra suits. And I got a phone call the night before. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have like a dancer's belt or anything?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do actually." And they're like, "Oh, good. Can you bring that in, please?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then a couple of the other people that came in just wore like really tight briefs, and I was like, "I'm glad I own my own stuff for this."
Yeah,
because you can see everything through those. Lycra suits are not forgiving.
No, they're not.
No, unfortunately. So I was like, at least I have a modicum of modesty in this incredibly tight, like skin tight suit that you just had to sit in all day. And it was one of those things as well where like when you wanted to go to the bathroom, I was like, "Sorry, costume, can you unzip me so I can go to the bathroom really quickly?" And then it's the classic, like, you felt like a child. You had to take the entire thing down, so you're just sitting naked in the toilet, just being like, "This is my career choice." Just
Young
so
Seb would be
confronting.
so proud of me.
I know. I was like, this is when I went to acting school. This is exactly what I thought I'd be doing just now. Sitting in the sports oval down at Albert Park, freezing cold in a bathroom, like a Lycra suit down by my ankles.
I love it.
Anyway, let's move on from that. So we got 2 more stories. I'm going to save that last one till the end, but we've got one more about a car, which I'd quite like to hear about as well, Will.
This was I was working as an assistant safety on an Australian TV show. I'm going to vague this up as much as I can.
Please, let's dance around as much as we can. Can you, however, explain a little bit of what safety is on TV shows, though?
So your safety supervisors are there to basically make sure that people don't trip over things. Often if you're working on a road, they're there to stop the crew from being run over.
Which is always like a good idea, I'd say. Yeah.
Yep, and you coordinate with if you're opening and closing roads, you're working with the traffic controllers.
Yep.
And this particular day, the safety supervisor asked me to jump in their car.
Yep.
And drive a couple of like a kilometre up the road just to make sure that we had a traffic controller in the right position on the road so we could lock down the road when we needed to.
So no one's accidentally going to drive into the shot or drive onto set or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And this particular day, I jumped in the car. It was a 4-wheel drive Ute.
Okay.
And wait, is that correct? It's a 4-wheel drive.
Okay.
Anyway, so I went down the road, couldn't find the traffic controller, and I was like, okay, they've gone up someone's driveway, they're hiding. So I decided to, just turn around and head back. So I was doing my 3-point turn and I sent the back 2 wheels into a giant gutter.
Yeah.
So the gutter would have been maybe half a meter deep.
Whoa.
And that was enough.
One of the countryside gutters as well. So like to get rid of all the flood waters and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. They're
nice.
huge.
They are massive.
And I just remembered as I was backing back, I was like, Will, make sure you don't, go into the gutter.
Yeah.
Clunk. Straight into the gutter. And I'm just like, I'm shitting myself because I'm going to have to radio my safety supervisor,
whose car it is,
to tell them with the rest of the crew also on radio hearing this, like, I've backed into the ditch and I can't get out.
We'll bleep that name out there as well.
Shit. Oh, yes. Well, that's right.
Redacted name.
That's right.
Backed us into the ditch.
Anyway, so I'm there. The car wasn't, because the car at the time was in 2-wheel drive mode.
Okay.
And an angel appeared, one of the traffic controllers.
The one that you were looking for, the hiding traffic controller?
This was a different one. The hiding one we found later on. But this was another one.
Okay.
And they're watching me trying to drive out of this ditch.
Yeah.
And I'm just accepting my fate. I'm an idiot. I'm going to have to radio.
Just leave set entirely. Like, I'm just gonna have to find a new career now, I suppose. Yeah.
I thought, this is my last day as an assistant safety supervisor. And this traffic controller just very calmly asked me, can't you just put it in 4-wheel drive?
Yeah, so I'm not much of a car guy. Would you like to explain the difference between 2-wheel and 4-wheel drive?
So in that car,
Yep.
basically, when it's in 2-wheel drive, the power is only coming from the front wheels.
Yep.
Whereas when you click it into 4-wheel drive, which I did, I
Yep.
looked down
Yep.
at the dash, looked for the knobs, and I was like, oh my, yes.
Godsend.
Clicked it over.
And all the
breath in.
wheels can now push power out of them. Yeah.
Exactly. And I roared out of that ditch, and I was just like, I was yelling back at that traffic controller, thank you.
Do you know that traffic controller's name? We can mention their name as a thank you.
Oh, I wish I knew,
No,
but
it's
unfortunately,
if you're listening, traffic controller out there, thank you. Thank you so much.
I always, anytime I'm on set as an assistant
Yep.
safety supervisor, which I might never be again after this story gets
All right,
out.
we bleeped out the name. We can
Yes, well, we're
bleep out
gonna-
the entire story if we need to.
That's
yeah.
right. I always make sure I grab, I always fill my pockets up with muesli bars,
Yeah, of
chips,
course.
and anytime I see traffic controllers, I
Yeah.
just give it to them because
Throw it out the window.
yeah, they're
you
often
go.
they're standing out there for
Forgotten about as well, and
Yep.
every kind of weather. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's not an easy gig, and that
No.
traffic controller saved my butt that day.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because that was a super embarrassing moment, which I learned a good lesson from, but also, until now,
Yep.
no one ever
No one's
knew
ever
about
known.
it.
It's all right. We've kept it vague enough. I feel like.
I hope so.
Yeah. And you didn't break the car, so
Exactly.
Yeah.
The car was not
could have been
broken.
a lot worse as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, they never, because they had dash cam. So as soon as the car is moving, so had they, and I knew that.
Looked back
Yep.
on that day. Yep. Okay.
If they ever decided to go back and look at the footage, they would have seen, because there was an internal camera facing
what?
you, as well as
This
cameras
is more
facing
footage we
out.
could be looking at. Just panicked Will.
That could have been on my show reel.
That would have been perfect. Or at very least Australia's funniest home videos,
Funniest
whatever
home
it's called.
videos.
Just a man, presumably in that high-vis vest as well, were you?
Yep, I had my
high-vis
high-vis on.
vest, sweating.
But that's a lesson for anyone else out there. If you
Yeah.
are ever in that situation,
Don't reverse into a ditch.
don't try not to do that. But if you do it, just check if it does have 4-wheel drive. Because if it does,
Yeah.
just
And if there's not, go and look in a bush. There might be a traffic controller around in there somewhere, and they can help you out if needs be.
yes, look for your traffic control angel.
Yeah, they'll come down to you. It's
And they
only
show-
when you need them the most. They'll appear and then they'll be gone forever. That person didn't even work on that set. They died there 10 years ago. Just this ethereal ghost. Come down to save you.
Will, there was no traffic controller out there. What are you
My
talking
God.
about?
But okay, well, I think we've teased enough about this final story, and I have very much enjoyed the rest of these stories. But you told me this story maybe 3 weeks ago at training, and my drive home from that training, the training that we go to on that Thursday nights, is about an hour for me, and I'd just be driving home, and then every now and then I go, oh, just remembering the story, just little moments of being like, oh, wow. So I'd like to try and paint the scene as much as we can. Are you able to mention what production this was on for a start?
I think it was called The Secret River.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain that's what it was called.
Right.
And it was about a man who comes to Australia on a
Yep.
boat as a convict.
Yep. Classic Australian story. There's so many of them, yeah.
So we're in the convict times, and we had 3 days of work, and we were, even though we were stunties, we
Yep.
were essentially used as, glorified extras for 3
Happens
days.
all the time. Yep. Sometimes
Which-
you just need to be in the background of a shot for continuity.
That's right.
And you're like, wow, I am literally human furniture today.
I think after you've had enough days of your life is hanging in the balance.
See if you jumped off of 30-foot platforms with
Yeah.
minimal to no rehearsals.
That's
Yeah,
right.
You're quite happy to sit around in a ship doing nothing.
That's right. So we were doing the first day. That's what we were doing. We
Yep.
were at the old ABC studios.
Oh, nice.
In the bows of the ship where all the convicts were huddled.
Oh,
and
of course.
we're all
Dank little
That's right.
stinky convict holes, yeah.
And
1800s-esque, if you can throw your mind back to then, listener.
That's right,
Yeah.
with a bunch of, half-dressed men all covered in just dirt and just...
Always wet as well.
Well, we weren't wet down at that point.
Oh,
I got
okay.
a wet down a few days later.
That is miserable. If you ever had to be wet all day and set, and it looks like it'd be fun, nobody warms the water up for you.
No.
Especially depending on what time of year you're shooting at as well. You get wet and you're freezing instantly, and then you just have to be wet for the rest of the day as well. Miserable.
Yeah.
But sorry, dry at this moment in time.
Fortunately,
Yeah.
until we huddled. They've got the shot set up, and then the animal wranglers come in.
Oh, animal wranglers.
That's right.
See, I know this story, but I'm going to try and draw it out as much as I can. I'm going to try and build up the suspense. Now, what were we working with in the bows of a ship? Did we have some dogs or cats?
We had rats.
Rats.
That's right.
Everybody's favorite animal.
Someone decided, you know what? Wouldn't it be great if we had rats crawling all over these convicts?
You know who decided that? Somebody that wasn't in the bow of the ship for 3 days.
Yep. Some producer decided that was how they were going to add production value.
Yep.
And I had a premonition of what was going to take place. So I knew what was coming even before it transpired.
So you willed this into existence, some would say.
You know what? I might have, but so as soon as it started, I knew what was going to happen.
Yep.
So one of the animal wranglers comes up and, before the shot begins, they needed someone to hold a rat.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, great. They're going to choose me. I can just tell this is going to be...
Again, you're putting it out there, so it's just coming back to you.
I know.
They're just like, this guy, he seems like he's got a bit of a different energy from everyone else. Maybe he would like the rat.
Well, the rat I was given.
Yep.
And they asked me to hold it. We were sort of sitting on our butts, hunched over.
Oh, not in a comfortable position, yeah.
Not at all. Just engaging my core as much as I could so my back wouldn't give out. It was just not...
Of course. And you'd be sitting down on little wooden planks all day as well, which just kills your butt. If you have to sit down on that kind of stuff, you stand up and your legs are dead and everything's so stiff.
Yeah. It's not fun, and on days like that, sometimes you just have to surrender.
Yeah, I know,
you just kind of go, look, I'm going to be,
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be miserable, covered in, dirt and horrible stuff for the next 12 hours. It was a very dark set, so that might have happened.
At least you couldn't see it. Ignorance is bliss sometimes in those respects.
In that case, for sure. So this, I was holding the rat with 2 hands.
Yeah. Now, animals on set. I don't know if anyone that's listening to this has worked with animals in an acting sense before. They don't know they're actors a lot of the time. Animals don't know they have a job. Especially smaller things like rats. Dogs are like they're having fun. Bigger things like wildlife or livestock are just they're very placid anyway. But rats are... Was this a well-trained rat, Will? Did you look up its IMDb before you worked with it, see what else it had worked on?
Well, if this rat was well-trained, what it did to me... If it was trained to do what it did to me, I'm going to say it was a very well-trained rat.
If it was trained what it did to you. I think that whoever trained it to do that needs to be immediately looked up by the police.
So we're getting ready to turn over. It's taking a really long time. So
turnover. Sorry, I'm going to stop interrupting you. Turnover is just when they're getting ready to film, essentially. So you're sitting there completely ready, presumably holding said rat.
Holding said rat.
Yep.
And the rat is near my crutch.
Yep. Okay.
Which is where I was instructed to hold it with 2 hands. The rat was struggling. The rat was not happy.
Oh.
And I just already knew what the rat was going to do to me before it did it.
Okay.
The rat decided to just bite whatever was closest to it, and it decided to bite my testicles.
Fantastic stuff. So this rat, how big is this rat to start off with?
It took 2 hands to hold it.
So we're talking about a fairly sized rat here, I reckon.
This was no mouse. This was a full-sized rat.
Full-fledged rat.
With big teeth.
Yeah, rats as well. For people that haven't experienced rats, they've got those 2 real big, sharp teeth at the front of their faces.
Yeah,
Straight into the ball bag.
straight into it. And I can attest that this rat's teeth were very sharp.
Attest that this rat's teeth were very sharp.
Yep.
Oh no, that's so.
So the rat took his bite out of my nuts, and then
No.
finally they called action. So I got
This was
to.
before it started rolling as
We
well.
hadn't even started rolling.
Oh my god.
So that was on action. The rat just fled. He was maybe like just a blur in frame. He wanted out of there. He was like, "Why
don't
do I
blame
want to
him.
be here?"
Yeah.
And I just knew straight
Yeah.
away that they're going to ask me to hold a rat, and the rat will bite my nuts. It just
You willed this into existence. Willed. Yeah, you brought this upon yourself.
Yeah.
You were thinking it, the rat knew it. But this rat, I mean, this is such a weirdly personal questions to be asking now, so you absolutely don't have to answer them. Did it break the skin? Were you bleeding? Did you have to go and see the set nurse? Was this rat then brought back to you so you had to do the take again? You can answer all of these questions or none of them if you want.
so I didn't do anything because it was just one of those. It goes back to that thing of stunties on set.
Yeah.
You must be tough. You must be strong.
Yeah, the tough boys sitting over in the corner there. If they break an arm, they just walk it off. Yeah.
Exactly. So if I was an extra that day,
Yeah.
I would have been able to just make a huge, song and dance
Deal of it,
the
yeah.
rat just bit my nuts. Ah! And it would have been perfectly acceptable.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
because I was there as a stunt performer, I just was trapped. I was like, I can't complain about this because then I'm the stunty that complained. But I had a rat just, take a big bite out of my nuts, and
I've slowly just been closing my legs, this like subconsciously this entire time. I've just noticed. I'm like, oh, that is so uncomfortable. And presumably these costumes, you weren't wearing thick jeans or anything.
No,
like
no,
that. They were
just-
just rags.
thin. Yeah, pretty much. So that was the beginning of my day, just having a rat.
And that was the
just
start of the
taking-
day as well.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I honestly would love to hear from other stunties how they would have responded to having a.
I don't know, because I'm again in the same boat as you, and I'm a lot fresher to the stunt industry than yourself here. If I was an actor on that day, I definitely would have brought it up. But I might have been a little bit too nervous, or like maybe mentioned it to another stuntie, being like, "Is this inappropriate? Do we need to fill out an accident or an incident form for this? Am I going to get the plague?" And also, as well, I'm like, I don't know if I want to tell everyone this just happened too in front of like a lot of people that you work with a lot first, and then they'll be like, all right, we'll go and see the nurse, and she presumably need to check you out as well. I'm like, I don't want to put that on the set nurse as well. They're just there to most of the time give you like hay fever tablets or give you a band-aid if you need it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how I would. Yeah, any stunties listening, message myself or Will how you would have reacted to that. Can I ask as well? So in the stunt world, there's this thing called loading. I know that's certainly what it's called in Australia. I don't know if they have different names for it.
No, it's the same here.
It is, yeah. So across the world, would you like to explain what loading is, Will?
So loading is if you get an adjustment in your pay if you do something that is considered, it's either a specialty skill or it's very dangerous and there's a high risk to you.
Injury or anything like that.
Yeah.
Did you get any loading for that day?
Sadly, no. There was
Bullshit. Right. Call out the stunt coordinator, whoever it was, we'll call them out now.
no. So back in 2014, a rat bit my nuts. I think I deserve a loading for that.
Just back. It was the ABC as well. You can just write into the ABC and be like, hey, sorry, I just need to fill out an incident report form for this date as well. I heard that story. You told that to me, and I was just like, that is fucked.
Well,
It's so good. I'm so happy you told it. Not happy it happened to you. I just want to be sure. Like, it's such a funny thing with this podcast because I get so much delight out of hearing these stories. I'm not happy, and anyone that's coming up or has been on this podcast previously, I'm not happy they happened to you. But they are fantastic stories.
Oh, we all need to. Yeah, we are all going to experience stuff like this. So I think,
I don't know exactly like that.
Maybe, I don't wish, rat biting onto anyone else.
No genital based injuries to anyone. Yeah. Did you have to work with rats for the next few days as well?
No, luckily after that we went to location, so we were at a beach and we were rowing boats into the beach and stuff like that. So the rest of it, and then the last day we were on a ship and they threw buckets of water on us.
Lovely. That's nice warm water, not just freezing cold water from the ocean.
Oh no, freezing cold water.
Yep,
middle
nice.
of winter.
Yep,
and
sounds about right.
a friend of mine, he got to be the one who threw the bucket of water onto me. He was thrilled.
I would be so
could
happy.
not wait.
It's always that classic thing where you're like, yeah, look, I feel bad for you, but I'm just so happy this isn't me just now. I was on set once and somebody broke a really expensive prop and I'm like, that sucks. It really does suck. But I just want to say in this moment, I'm so happy I didn't break that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, thank you, Will, firstly for sharing that story and all your stories as well. We will bleep out any names that we need to.
Yeah.
And thank you again for coming on. Now, I know that we have a little bit of a YouTube channel that we wouldn't mind promoting, so can we hear a bit about that?
Well, hopefully I'm going to have you on it at some point, Seb.
All right, well, that is a legally binding agreement, so Will said he wants me on, so I'm going to be on it. If he hasn't had me on, like, hit him up.
Yep.
Shout at him through the internet. If you see him in the street, shout at him in the street. Yeah.
Everyone's heard you say it, so it's a binding verbal contract.
Yep, exactly. I will get the lawyers involved. I can't afford them, but if any free lawyers out there want to try and help me sue Will if he hasn't got me on his channel.
Well, we do a show called Buffy Breakdown.
Yep.
And we go back through seasons 2 to 4 of Buffy and we recreate the fight scenes.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the early 2000s?
So the show ran from 97 to 2002.
97, yeah.
97. So my stunt idols, my heroes were the Sophia Crawford, who was the stunt double from seasons 1 to 4.
For Sarah Michelle Gellar.
For Sarah Michelle Gellar. And then in season 2, they brought in a new stunt coordinator called Jeff Pruitt.
Yep.
And these are my heroes.
Yeah.
Watching them, their work, watching Jackie Chan, watching Xena Warrior Princess.
Oh, classics as well. And
that's,
for anyone that watched that stuff, presumably, when they were a bit younger, all of those kind of came out a little while ago. So you're probably watching it and like, yeah, cool fight scenes, cool vampires and stuff like that. Go back and watch them now because they're incredibly well. Like, Xena is so campy. I love it.
Oh, I do too.
Fantastic fight scenes. But Buffy's amazing fight scenes for like a TV show at the time as well, which was essentially most of the time just some gruff 40-year-old man throwing one punch which didn't quite read on camera and then move on or something like that. So they had amazing fight scenes in it. I'm a very big fan of the show myself as well.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to pick a good fight scene for you to come in and do.
Absolutely. I think we've even tried to recreate a few of them ourselves just in training.
Yeah. It's just, I love it. It's a great show, and to actually retrace the work of your heroes is...
celebrate it as well, yeah. It's so nice to be able to, first of all, like, show people that have helped you in your career so much, even if they don't know it, to show them admiration and give them another platform. Although I'm sure like they're doing very well for themselves, but like a way of showing your appreciation as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully showing new generation as well some of the stuff that they maybe haven't had the chance to see.
Yeah.
So Buffy Breakdown on YouTube.
Yep. You can find us on YouTube.
Yep, and that's the name of the channel as well, Buffy Breakdown.
That's the name of the channel.
Perfect.
So
are you on any of the socials for it as well? People can find it there.
You can find us on Facebook as well.
Yeah, perfect. Buffy Breakdown on Facebook.
On Facebook,
awesome.
And it's on TikTok as well. But we're in the process of putting together some stuff for TikTok.
Yeah, beautiful. I'll link all of this in the show notes as I do every week. How about yourself, Will? Do you want to promote any of your personal stuff?
I've got some long-term stuff in the can, but that's coming up. But yeah, mostly Buffy Breakdown.
Buffy Breakdown just now. If anything does come up in the future, I'll chuck it up on the socials as well. It's always nice to see people doing their passion projects, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it's been great to be a part of this. So
yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on. And the same as every week for myself here. You can find myself, Seb Muirhead, Muirhead, across most of the social platforms. You can give my YouTube a little look as well. There's some couple of all right fight scenes on there as well. You can find Won't Be Forgetting That Pod across most of the socials as well. If you did enjoy this episode, please do rate it, review it 5 stars, write something nice, tell Will what you would have done in this situation. Wrap you in the testicles or genitals. We do have a Redbubble store now as well. If you would like to pick up any merch, anything that kind of helps this show keep running is very much appreciated.
Redbubble merch. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get you something, Will.
Ooh.
But yeah, thank you once again, Will.
My pleasure.
It was an absolute pleasure having you on.
Cheers.